So we are here today to discuss what potentially not to do in the world of NFTs. And so what's kind of interesting is we have a representation of Legos, music, and physical art, right, in all various forms. So when it comes to being, prestigious artists and having the background that you're having and coming into the world of NFTs, what are some of the things that you recommend to other artists on things to potentially avoid?
Well, speaking about, first I want to correct you telling that I'm a physical artist, because what I do, it's an integration of doing physical and digital art. Basically what I'm doing, as you can see, one of my pieces are made of real fruit, and I'm making NFTs out of this. So basically fruit is the most natural thing in the world, and NFTs are the most digital thing in the world. So what I'm doing is doing this integration of having physical and digital in one same product or in one same art piece. And answering your question, what not to do, I will say put your pieces really expensive, hoping that someone will buy them if it's your first piece. My recommendation for anyone who's starting to do NFTs or art is to just have traction, and the more people who own your art, every of those collectors will be a promoter. So as an upcoming artist, I will say sell a lot for cheap and make a lot of people own your pieces, because they will promote and they will be proud of having them. And all those people having them, it's when you're starting to build a community. For example, in this new project I launched, the Crypto Papayas, we were giving it to a lot of people, and everyone who is proud, who is a holder of those art pieces, holder of those NFTs, will share it with the world. So that's my contribution.
Awesome. So I want to guide this over to you, RAGZX. So can you share a little bit about your experience and share some wisdom with everybody?
Sure. Yes, well, I actually created something called the RAGZ test. So, and it's for both buyers and creators, what not to do when you're buying and what not to do when you're listing. I mean, I'm an artist. I've been in the fine arts world for over a decade, creating physical sculpture and painting for, prestigious galleries and things like that, and gravitated over into the NFT world. And it is very different, because you have to remember, if you're an artist and you're trying to drop your NFTs, it is literally all about community. So it's very different than the old school way of maybe you're shopping for art, you walk into a gallery, you really connect with that painting, you want it in your home. The NFT space is very, very different. It's all about, building a community of people that will gravitate, to you for your art. So it's very important to stay true to yourself. One thing I would recommend not to do, obviously, this industry is very profitable because it's brand new, and you always hear the money, oh, this sold for, millions of dollars. And you see a lot of people coming out with art that's inspired or just a straight up knockoff or copy of something. And I wouldn't recommend doing it that way, because then you're not really building a community and your project's not going to be successful. You really want to build your art and brand around something you love, and you'll attract people who have the same interests as you do to your work. So it's really important to be true to yourself and not get distracted by, oh, look, the bored apes. So I got to do apes. You see so many apes all over the NFT space, and a lot of those ape projects were either rug pulls, scams, not all of them, but a lot of them failed, right? Because they're not the original Bored Ape Yacht Club, which is a really strong concept. So you just really have to stay true to yourself as an artist. Whatever you like, know that somebody else would like it too, and that's how you build a strong community and be successful.
Awesome. So not monkey see, monkey do.
Yes, no. I'm a curator too. Anytime anybody comes with me an ape project, it gets an automatic, if it's a knockoff of Bored Apes. There's too many, And when people want to buy apes, they're always going to think of Bored Ape Yacht Club, because they were the first ones.
They have the mind share. Awesome. So Dill, you're a platinum recording artist, right? You work with some pretty major record labels like Atlantic Records. And so here you are now famous for being a crypto rapper. So what was the inspiration to be able to go into that ecosystem, and what were some of the things that you can share with other music artists who are trying to maybe follow in your footsteps?
Yeah, I think those were both really good points. When we make an NFT collection, we really want to get hundreds and thousands of collectors to have some of those network effects, and of course focus on community. I think that's a really big piece of it. And so I've been a music artist for 10 years, I've been in crypto for 5 years, and I've built quite an audience around this crypto music thing. I made the album Crypto Rich in 2019, and my platinum song was already sort of about investing and in the same category. So one thing that surprised me was coming to the NFT space. Almost all of my sales, probably 99% of my sales, are from people within the NFT community rather than people who might be fans of my music through Instagram or Spotify. And so one thing that I've seen with people coming to the space, if you have a platform in something else, it's great to bring that to the NFT space, but you really have to talk about your brand and your platform within these NFT spaces. Networking in real life, events like this, Twitter spaces, Clubhouse, get onto those communities and start sharing what you're doing. Because coming into the space, I definitely thought I would have more adoption from my traditional music fans and people that know my other work. But I've seen the same thing happen with a lot of other people. And even furthermore, it's like if you don't focus on community and you don't focus on some of the important things that drive value, you might come to the space with a big fan base and then not actually create something valuable for them. So at the end of the day, we have to make sure we're creating an ecosystem that rewards the collectors, because in my opinion, the worst thing that can happen is if your sales go really well and then the NFT doesn't go anywhere and the people who bought it don't have that secondary value. Right? To me, that is a failure. When I define success in NFTs, it's about rewarding my community. So if I can't build the value of my NFTs to enable liquidity and secondary trading, then I think that's sort of like a failure. So to me, I'm really building to have that strong community where people are buying and selling and trading long term. So I would recommend that you got to come with, just like both of these points were made, were great. And if you have a platform outside of NFTs, don't expect everyone to adopt NFTs quickly, but focus on the community that's already here who is buying NFTs already, because they will support you.
Awesome. So Alejandro, you're coming from the world of Tulum, like a very spiritual ecosystem. And so here you see this adoption and kind of this industry of NFT evolving. Do you recall the moment of inspiration that you had when you said, hey, I understand the opportunity, and then deciding on how you wanted to create this ecosystem with the fruit and the papayas?
Of course, I would love to speak a little bit about my story and my background. I started making art with real fruit. So I started building these huge structures with fruit. I know it sounds funny, but it's so powerful. I will invite you to one of my fruit ceremonies soon. So, so I started doing these experiences where I was placing so much fruit on the middle, and I was inviting people to really connect with their senses through fruits. So it was an experience, a ceremony, a journey. And I started figuring out that there is no way to sell those pieces. Like, how do you sell a moment? How do you sell an experience? People are willing to pay for a ticket for something, but after the event, people want to stay with that memory on their mind, and they want to stay with that memory on themselves. So after speaking with different people, Tulum is like a place where there's always people coming and going from around the world, of all the industries. I had this conversation with Emmanuel from Ibiza, from Spain, and he told me there's something called NFTs, and you can photograph and not only post it on social media, but you can really make people have the ownership of that specific moment, have an ownership of that specific piece. And that's where I had this wow moment when I was like, okay, I really can make people join my community by coming to my experiences, and after my experiences, I can make people purchase and own something to have as a memory of that moment. So I think that was super key for me and super key for Tulum and for the environment where I grew up and where I've been developing my artistic career. So it's like being able to capture something that happened and tokenize it.
Awesome. So helping to capture experiences. Well said.
Exactly.
So you are the OG of Legos, the OG Lego queen, right?
So funny.
So curious to know, right? Like I've been fortunate to have been on the set of Shark Tank a couple times and have some cool friends that do some cool things. But how did you get onto this like national television show? Was this something that they came to you and discovered you? You applied for the show, and then how did that ultimately help translate into the success that you're having now with the NFTs?
Oh, sure. That's interesting. Yeah, so I've been an artist for over a decade, and I'm known for, playful things with like mixed media, and so I've been using Legos in my work for years. And so the show found me, and, called me out. They're like, "I want you to audition for this show." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" They're like, "We want you to come on the show and build these creations out of Lego." And I'm like, "Other people do this? Like what?" They're like, "Yeah." It was like a Lego fan show where they build these creations. So you still have to audition, everything like that, and I got selected. I think I got selected out of like 20,000 applicants. They only picked 20 out of 20,000. I don't know what the math is in that. But it was really hard to get on the show. And I made these creations. It was great. I think doing TV is great marketing and publicity. But I don't know if it's necessarily... I was already an artist before the show, and I was already in galleries before the show, and I think that's actually more valuable than being on TV or something like that when you're in an NFT space. In fact, you see a lot of celebrities dropping NFTs, and they're actually failing. A lot of those NFTs, a big article came out, a lot of these celebrities have been on TV, they're a famous wrestler, they're famous this or that. Their NFTs have tanked, or they made only like 500 of them, like hoping they're gonna sell out, and then they sold like 37 out of 500. Because this is about art. We're in the new digital renaissance for artists. And the serious collectors that are really going to throw money on it are going to throw money at it because they value it as like a real piece of authentic art. When we talk about NFTs in terms of fine art, because obviously NFTs can be anything, but in terms of fine art, they want a real, piece of something. And, to his point about the community, like what he does is so unique and special. Like that's something that people are going to gravitate towards too, because that's like real art. Yeah, you know what I mean? So, the show gave me visibility and gave me a fan base, but a lot of that fan base doesn't have crypto or NFTs, or maybe they don't collect fine art. So I feel like it's definitely was fun to do to showcase my talent, but I don't know if it's necessarily helping in the NFT space, but that's why I love it, because it's an even playing field. You could be a celebrity, you could be, so nobody knows who you are, and have created Bored Ape Yacht Club, and then it be like blow up. So I like that it's an even playing field, because people with real talent get to be successful in this industry without the name, and without the hype. It's very, very possible if you have a good concept and you're talented.
Oh, that's amazing. That's great info. And it leads me right into the next question I actually have for you, Dill. So you have this background in Atlantic Records, right? So the historical kind of like digital publishing system has taken over the archaic model, right? So you've gone independent. So one of the questions that I want to have you lead on this and then have the other two answer afterwards is, there's a lot of opportunities now in the NFT space. There's a lot of ecosystems where you can publish NFTs. So being now an independent recording artist and being an independent NFT creator, how do you decide where you want to hang your hat from a distribution or community platform to be able to have success? And is there anything that you'd recommend to avoid in the process?
Yes, so my early record deal was basically the classic situation where the label got in early on us. Definitely sold us a dream in some ways. Now that was a valuable experience. I learned a lot, and it led me down the road which makes me 100% independent today. And I probably never would have arrived at NFTs without all of this happening. But the thing is that record labels, the major labels, the music industry especially, is known for these predatory deals. And they put artists in a terrible situation where the label has made millions of dollars off my song, and I've made only a very small percentage of that. And also, they haven't reinvested in me in the way I've reinvested in myself. So being 100% independent is great. It gives you financial and creative freedom, and that's a big message with my album, Crypto Rich. So in 2019, I had been in crypto for a few years. Like I said, I already had a hit song out there. And I had this idea to combine my two passions by rapping about crypto and making an album about it. And my whole plan was to really inspire millions of people through my platform to understand crypto, to understand NFTs, to realize what I realized, which is Crypto is the path to financial freedom. And now with NFTs, it's the path to creative freedom. So I now distribute everything independently through my record label, itslit.org. So you can check out my website on itslit.org. I distribute everything myself. I own 100% of the content, and I sell NFTs for my album now. And to just put it in perspective, NFTs are completely changing the way we fund music. And as an artist, with the internet and with all the social media tools that are available to us, I can do almost everything a major label can do in some ways, right? I can do lots of playlisting, promotion. I can do all types of social media. I can do creative myself. I mixed, mastered, and recorded my whole album myself. So I've taken a lot of these things into my own hands, and I think NFTs allow you to also take the financial side into your own hands. So my album, Crypto Rich, has been out about 2 years. It's the top crypto-related title in the world with over 2 million streams. Off those streams, I've made about only $6,000 from Spotify in those 2 years, 2 million streams. And that's the top crypto rap album in the world. I've done hundreds of millions of streams on Spotify. It's not all bad, right? It's still good to have your music accessible and get paid for it. But to put it all in perspective, that album has done $6,000 in revenue from Spotify over 2 years. In the last year, I've sold over 100,000 of my NFTs now. And I would say 40% of that has been in the last month or two. And what we're seeing is that music NFTs are taking off in a really big way. And me, I'm an independent artist, I don't have a developer, I do everything myself, I don't have a team, I make my own website, I record my own music, I make my own videos. It's literally me and my community. And so I've now made 100,000 selling my NFTs for the album this year, which is so much more than Spotify, Apple Music, a record label would ever pay me. So it's life-changing for artists, and it allows me to control the finances. But on top of that, in raising that approximately 100,000 so far, I've created over $500,000 in market cap for my community. And now they can tap into that and get rewarded already in less than a year.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. Good job on being able to transition from going to the centralized ecosystem to decentralized and making more. So we're about to wrap up here, so I want to make sure that you get a chance, Alejandro, to share where people can find your work and address about the whole community aspect.
Yes, I would like people's in here participation. Please raise your hand. Who in here has a crypto wallet? Raise your hand. Who has a crypto wallet? Okay, so let's say about 70%. Now, who in here has a credit card? Please raise your hands. 100% credit or debit card. So that's the phase and that's the moment where we are right now in the world. There's every day more and more people getting a crypto wallet, but at the same time, there's a whole integration of people having credit cards. So what we have been figured out, we started our project Crypto Papayas with Solana, which even Solana is even harder to have. And now we just have this new feature from 3 or 4 days ago that people can actually buy NFTs with their credit card. This is a huge, huge improvement because now we are being more accessible for everyone, and now everyone is going to be able to purchase and to hold a crypto papaya. By saying that, we're like just making bridges shorter because a lot of people are not used to have all their wallets set, and I think that's the future short term. Long term, of course, I know everyone will have their crypto wallet, but in short term, I think it's crucial to focus on accepting NFTs paid by credit card. I think that's something really important for these next months.
Awesome. So we have ladies first, now we're going to have ladies last to wrap up our episode. So what's some words of wisdom that you would give to other female artists who want to participate in this epic NFT journey? Yeah, so what advice would you give to other female artists to create success in the world of NFTs?
Stay true to yourself, speak up because it's still dominantly male, and it's still not being, in my opinion, we're still not being treated fairly or equally. We never have in the fine arts. It's been a running theme. And I just feel, you know, it's not the collectors either. Like, a lot of people who collect my art are male, and they're amazing, and they see the value in my art. But there still is a little bit of gatekeeping on some of these platforms. and they're taking significantly more art from male artists than females, and we need to change that. But you have to just speak up, you know, make sure your concept's strong, stay true to yourself, and we'll get there. I'm pushing for you. I'm pushing for all the women. I'm trying my best. You know, being an expert at blocks, you know, I'd like to think that a blockchain was a natural fit, but yeah, just keep going. You know, it's always a battle, it's always a struggle, but this is a brand new industry. So we have an opportunity right now to make it equal for everybody.
Awesome, wise words. So let's give it up for our panel brought to you by Grit Daily.